and we appear to have a quorum today.
All right, thank you, Andrew. So it is 1:04 p.m. on May 14th, 2025, and I will call this meeting of the Mesilla Valley MPO Governing Board to order. If y'all would stand, if you can, and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Point of order, Mr. Chair, before we get started today, we do have Councilor Cassie McClure from the City of Las Cruces participating remotely. We need to take a vote to allow her remote participation today.
Okay, and before we do that, I think we should, do we need to take a roll call for quorum or?
Oh, yes, Mr. Chair. Trustee Merrick?
Here.
Trustee Johnson-Burek?
Here.
Councilor Corrin?
Here.
Mayor Hernandez?
Present.
Mr. Love proxying for Mr. Chavarria?
Here.
Councilor McClure, are you able to speak now? We are having some technical difficulties with the councilor's feed, but she has acknowledged that she's there, so I'll allow it, I guess. And Mr. Chair.
Present.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We do have quorum.
All righty, so with that, I would ask for a motion to allow Councilor McClure to participate remotely.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilor Corrin, a second by Trustee Johnson-Burek. If there are no comments, I'll ask for a roll call, please.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Trustee Merrick?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson-Burek?
Yes.
Councilor Corrin?
Yes.
Mayor Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Love?
Yes.
Councilor McClure, if you could acknowledge she has voted yes. Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, the motion passes.
Very good. And we'll take note that while he is walking up at 1:06 p.m., we also have Mayor Enriquez in attendance as well. All right, so to agenda item number 3, which is a conflict of interest inquiry. Are there any board members that have any conflict, known conflict of interest with any item on the agenda? If I get at least a yay or a nay, no, shaking heads, no. Okay. All right, we're all good with that, so we'll open up to public comment. Are there any members of the public?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have some individuals who would like to address the board today.
Okay. Good afternoon. If you would say your name for the record.
Cale Robertson.
Thank you, sir.
So I live along at the intersection of Bowman Avenue, or Bowman Street and University Avenue in Mesilla. And I wanted to speak about the university project for the walking path, bicycle path. That's removed the irrigation canal, which is about a 6-foot high elevation dirt mound that was previously there. And so that's really removed a lot of privacy and a lot of security for my property and for my neighbors' properties who all live along University, have our backyards backed up against it. And so we were wondering if there's any intention, any plan to put in, a wall or anything to separate the walking path from the property. I understand it's a DOT project, but usually walking paths like this butt up against freeways or like state land, state park kind of things where there's not people's backyards. So here, the other thing as well is the elevation of my yard compared to what the walking path is probably 3 or 4 feet lower. So people walking on that path, it creates, basically you're at a higher elevation looking down into my yard. You can see everything. Plus, it invites a significant amount of new traffic that's going to be coming through, walking, pedestrian traffic, bicycle traffic, that were never there before because there was never a place for them. And so that's going to be a major issue as far as inviting crime into my property, into my neighbor's property. A lot of additional people coming in that can be looking down into our yard, seeing what's there. So privacy, security, those are big concerns. Within the last year, there's been one vehicle that crashed over the irrigation canal and ran into my garage. If that canal hadn't been there to obstruct his path, he probably went through my garage and probably totally demolished it. There was also a murder just outside of my garage, right there up against the irrigation canal. So the canal stopped bullets at that point. Now there's nothing there to stop bullets, which would basically go into my house, my yard, my property, where my kids are at, where my neighbors' kids are at. So those are safety concerns. And then additionally, you just have the entire aesthetics. Presumably, you'd put in a project like this to beautify it, to make it a friendlier environment for the citizens of the community, for the citizens of the county, anybody that's riding bikes, walking through. But there's no consistency as far as how properties are terminated. Some of them are no fence, some of them are rock wall, some of them are pallets, some of them are picket fence, some of them are slatted fence, some of them are chain link, all different elevations. And so there's just really no consistency. And in my mind, if you put in a project like this, you want it to look nice. And if I'm walking through there, I'm just looking at everybody's backyard and everybody's junk and a huge variety of different types of fencing if they exist. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me from that perspective.
And if you can, I don't know if you might be able to wrap up your comments, or.
Yeah, and then the only other thing to kind of go along with that is if each property owner that lives along there needs to put up their own type of security or security barrier or fence, that sort of thing. Other than rock walls, which are very expensive, there's not a lot of allowance for fence types that completely obstruct the view. Plus, there's a limit of 6 foot high, and since, like I said, the elevation of my property is 3-4 feet lower than what the walking path is going to be, that would be like putting up a 2 foot high fence, which is not going to help the problem. And that's about all I have.
Okay, thank you, sir. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
My name's Ben Schmidt, and I'm his neighbor. I pretty much, everything he says is correct, except that there was also a high-speed chase that ended behind my house. I also have video from my cameras of muzzle flash shooting somebody just driving by, just shooting out the window, I guess, for fun multiple times. So it's definitely a security concern. I second his motion with the security and the erosion, and I don't want to have to foot the bill for a new fence because, like you said, there's all kinds of ordinances on what I can build and all that, and I don't think we should have to burden the cost for that. So, yeah, that's about all I have to say, but pretty much everything, I agree with everything he said as well.
Okay,
So, all right,
great,
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schmidt. Okay. All right, is there any other further comment? Okay. Sorry, I was trying to pull back up the agenda here. Okay, then we'll thank you for the public comments. We'll move on now to agenda number 5. It's approval of the agenda. If I can get a motion and a second to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. If I can get a roll call, please.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Trustee Merrick,
Yes.
Trustee Johnson-Burek,
Yes.
Counselor Corn,
Yes.
Mayor Hernandez,
Yes.
Mr. Love,
Yes.
Mayor Enriquez.
Yes.
Counselor McClure, are you able to speak or otherwise vote? Yeah, okay. The counselor has typed in signifying yes. Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, the motion passes.
All righty, thank you. All right, we're on to agenda item number 6, which is the approval of the minutes. The minutes from our last meeting on April 9th, 2025. If I get a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
All right, do we have a motion by Trustee Johnson-Burek, a second by Counselor Corn? Are there any comments, changes to the minutes? All right, not hearing or seeing any, so if I can get a roll call to approve the minutes from April 9th, 2025.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Trustee Merrick,
Yes.
Trustee Johnson-Burek.
Yes.
Counselor Corn,
Yes.
Mayor Hernandez,
Yes.
Mr. Love,
Yes.
Mayor Enriquez.
Yes.
Counselor McClure has typed in the chat her affirmation yes, and Mr. Chair.
Yes,
Mr. Chair, the motion passes.
thank you. All right, we're on to agenda item number 7.1 under action items, resolution 25-07, resolution prioritizing the Mesilla Valley MPO Transportation Fund applications. If I can get a motion in a second, actually, I'll wait till we begin discussion so we can rank the projects appropriately and make a motion on that.
We probably still have to have a motion and second first to initiate the discussion, and then any amendments after the fact is how we have to do that per Robert's rules.
Okay, that's fine with me. If we can get a motion in a second to begin discussion.
So moved.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to begin discussion.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. I would at this time like to introduce Mr. Dominic Loya.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Dominic Loya for MPO staff. So this is the culmination of the TPF process for the MPO. We do have two applications. Both are from the town of Mesilla. We will need them ranked at the end of this so that that will go up with the packet for the state. When this is done, we do have to send the packet on May 30th. That is the final day that they will accept it. So we will have all the applications that were in your packets will be complete and sent to the state by that Friday, May 30th. So I do have Mayor Russell Hernandez here to present for the town of Mesilla.
Mr. Chair, members of the governing board, great to see you once again. No, it's a little odd.
I know it's it's always awkward.
That's why you see me run around and run back and forth. Yeah, the way it goes. Just to be going straight into it. I mean, I probably don't need to touch on the presentation because it's the same presentation that you've already seen from before going through the funding. But our requests are for two requests in here. You do have an updated packet for one of the requests in specific that was included in your packet. That is for the Paisano Road reconstruction on that one. And so given the PFF that we had in the meeting on that, there was information from DOT in specific and as well as the MPO on amendments and changes that need to be made to the packet to make it a stronger application. So we did include the changes in there, letters of support received from DOT for the interchanges, and then some of the verbiage changes per their recommendations. In that this is for the 1 mile of road, a little more or less, that we're looking at resurfacing from Glass Road to Calle del Norte. It does include minimal engineering on that, but really construction and construction management is what's being completed on that. Looking at that cost of $670,772 request with the town proportional match, which we would be also requesting a match waiver in the amount of $33,539. And that is our first request. Any questions on that guy? All right, sure. Jumping right into the second one, which is there. I apologize, I don't have all of the updated documents in your packet because I'm still waiting on a letter of support from EBID in specific before we get that. They have promised me that we would have that. And I appreciate MPO staff as well with the patience on that. So if we need to reconsider that one, we can definitely look at that as that process if the governing board has that recommendation. But I do feel confident that I will have that letter of recommendation by the time the full application is due. But what we're looking here for the Calle del Sur widening project is just for planning and design funding for this, as we had discussed before. The area that you see in red would just be for mobility in particular on this, and that would be sidewalk infrastructure going from La Mesilla Circle down to Calle de Oeste in specific. And in the blue area is the proposed for the widening in particular, where we do have letters of support from residents as well as DOT along the way here. With the connections in there. Not all residents, of course. I apologize. We don't have the letters of support from all residents, I just approached the ones that have the majority of stakeholder access across that area in there. What we're looking at is just like, as I had mentioned, planning and design only, to look at the roadway itself, drainage and potential mobility design, and then sidewalk, path, whatever that may be, from one end to the other, as well as that full drainage review, and that all the way to Snow Road. Expected to be a 24-foot road width, with there again the possibility of multi-path and sidewalk, bike path, depending upon right-of-way availability. We do have all of that, the letters of support, as I had mentioned, to go into the packet, with the exception of EBID as of this time, which we would have upon the application being submitted. Looking at $102,586.36 from the grant request, with the town proportional match $5,399.29. Stand for questions.
Thank you, Mayor. Are there any questions on the applications? I think, Andrew, I think the only question I have for staff is going to be, is there any concern if I don't think the letter of support is going to change this materially, so I would think that if we rank the projects now and approve that, there wouldn't be a need to come back, but I just wanted to verify that that would be acceptable.
Mr. Chair, this is Andrew Ray for the record. If the town of Mesilla wants to represents to the board that they believe that they will have that letter, then I agree. I see no reason as to not do the vote today. And ultimately, let's say worst case scenario and the letter of support doesn't come in before May the 30th, I still think that the town should feel completely empowered to submit the application to NMDOT even without the letter. So the letter is nice, but I don't think it materially impacts the question before the board today.
Okay, all right. So if I understand it, Mayor Hernandez, so we're wanting the Paisano Road to be ranked #1 and then Cayo del Sur as #2.
And Mr. Chair, members of the board, yes.
Okay.
Do we have to have a different motion to do that, or?
I think we would just have an amendment to the original motion, or?
Actually, Mr. Chair, the way that we wrote the resolution was per the town of Mesilla's recommendation of Paisano first and Cayo del Sur being second. So the motion that we have before the board, I believe, is the correct motion.
Okay.
Actually, I shouldn't editorialize and say correct. It is the town of Mesilla's preferred option.
Okay. Well, in that case, so we have, if there is no need for amendment and we have a motion and a second, then I'll call for roll call on Resolution 25-07. Mr. Loy, if you're able to do that for us.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Trustee Merrick?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson-Berg?
Yes.
Councilor Corn?
Yes.
Mayor Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Love?
Yes.
Mayor Enriquez?
Yes.
Councilor McClure? Okay. Councilor McClure has indicated yes. And Mr. Chair,
Yes. All right. That
motion
resolution
passes.
All right. We're on to agenda item 7.2, which is Resolution 25-08. It's a resolution certifying the Mesilla Valley MPO's compliance with the New Mexico Inspection of Public Records Act for calendar year 2025 and designating the MPO Executive Director as the MPO Records Custodian. If I get a motion and a second to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, and
I'm actually very pleased to say that we have Las Cruces City Clerk, Ms. Christine Rivera, here to give this presentation.
Madam Clerk, welcome.
Thank you. My shoe broke, so I'm hobbling up here. But thank you so much for having me. Like Andrew said, I'm Christine Rivera. I'm the city clerk for the city of Las Cruces, and he asked me to come and give this presentation to y'all. So let's get started. So the Inspection of Public Records Act, or as I like to call it, IPRA, it basically says that all persons are entitled to the greatest possible information regarding the affairs of government and the official acts of public officers and employees. Now, there are some exceptions to that, which I will get to at the bottom, but for the most part, almost everything we do is public record. So regarding IPRA, requests have to be made to us with reasonable particularity, and that means that they need to be very specific in what they're looking for. A good example is I want all emails from Mayor Enriquez for the last 10 years. That's not specific, it's not reasonable particularity. We want to know, are you looking for specific keywords? Are you looking for specific data? Like, that's what we mean by reasonable particularity. I'm gonna pick on the mayor. And so IPRA also states that we're not required to answer questions. So we do get a lot of IPRA requests at the city where they're like, can you tell me how many people were in this program? Well, we're not required to answer that. We're just only required to provide the documentation that proves that so many people were involved in that program. We're also not required to create a new record. So by creating a new record, I mean pulling data from somewhere, putting it on a spreadsheet, that's creating a record. If you can easily create the record from a program, so for example, our IPRA program at the city, we can run reports. That's not creating a record because that data is already in there and you're just providing that data on a spreadsheet. But if you're having to pull from different places to put it into a document, that is creating a record. So there are deadlines for IPRA. There is a 3-day answer period, which means someone comes and requests something. We have 3 days to say, we have the records for you, here they are, or we're gonna need additional time. At that point, if we need additional time, we extend for the 15, the first one is 3 working days. The 15 days is 15 calendar days. It's really strange how they do that, but we have 15 calendar days to then provide you the information. There's a lot of times where we have to say that the 15 days is still not enough time for us, especially when it comes to like PD records, body cam footage. That takes us much longer than 15 days, but as long as we are in conversation with the requester and letting them know, what we do is we do what's called a rolling production. So every 15 days we're producing until we can close it out in its entirety. So those are the deadlines required for IPRA. Now, like I mentioned earlier, there are exceptions. There is a whole host of exceptions called as otherwise provided by law, which is not my favorite because it's like 100 exceptions. And a lot of those exceptions really apply to more PD records than they do to like city records. So children's rights, victims' rights, those kinds of things. So that's something that the MPO is definitely not gonna have to deal with regarding their records. But there are exceptions that as the city and as the MPO that will be applied more often than not. Dates of birth, social security numbers, account numbers. Recently, 2 years ago, employee addresses were added. So that's not elected official addresses, but only employee addresses. We don't provide credit card numbers. Another thing that was recently added was email passwords. We can't provide that kind of stuff. So those are the most commonly used exceptions that we use at the city and that I think Andrew will be using. So what IPRA also says is that every public body must designate a records custodian. So for the city of Las Cruces, that is me. As the city clerk, I'm also the records custodian, and that's in our municipal code. But what we do with the other JPAs in the city is that we have each of them designate their own records custodian because I don't have access to Andrew's records, so he really should be the custodian of those records. And so that's what this resolution is really doing, is designating Andrew as your records custodian for the MPO. I will put in a caveat that I have spoken to Andrew and have offered to help him as much as possible with the IPRA process, especially if it's things that he needs from the city side. So I'm 100% available to him whenever he needs. I think that's it. Yeah, that's my presentation. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Any questions about IPRA? And I will say congratulations to Andrew preemptively on becoming our
The records custodian.
our records coordinator for the MPO.
It's a lot of work, Andrew.
Yeah. Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Trustee.
Oh, I was going to say that, ditto that, but I'm going to take this opportunity to thank our clerk for the state of New Mexico. Yes, I awarded that huge honor. Yeah, Clerk of the Year for the entire state. So congratulations.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Trustee Johnson-Burek.
First of all, you're all witnesses that she promised to help in case we need it. Secondly, I would like to tell the board that this is going to become an annual resolution that we will need to do. We will be doing it every year routinely at the first meeting of the year. Obviously, we didn't do it this year because of the February meeting this year, we were still part of the city of Las Cruces, and now we are not. So that's the reason why we're doing this in the middle of the year, but we will be doing this. Not the custodian designation, but the IPRA compliance will just become part of our routine first meeting of the year matter that we will, I assume we can lump that into one resolution.
We could do OMA and IPRA.
Okay, so we'll, for the sake of time, we'll be lumping it into one resolution going forward, but we will have to do this on an annual basis.
Yeah, no, that sounds great, and I think it makes perfect sense. I think as it was noted with OMA and all the other fun stuff we do as a board. So, okay, thank you. All right, well, we have a motion and a second for approval of the resolution. If there's no other comments or questions, I would ask for a roll call on resolution 25-08.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is on Resolution 25-08, certifying IPRA compliance and designating the executive director as records custodian for the MPO. Trustee Merrick?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson-Burek?
Yes.
Counselor Corn?
Yes.
Mayor Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Love?
Yes.
Mayor Enriquez? Counselor McClure has signified in the chat her consent to the resolution, and Mr. Chair.
Yes,
Mr. Chair, the motion passes.
thank you. Okay, agenda item 7.3, resolution 25-09. It's resolution amending the federal fiscal year 2024 to 2029 Transportation Improvement Program, otherwise fondly known as TIP.
Mr. Chair, oh, I apologize.
I was gonna say, if we get a motion and a second to begin discussion, please.
Move to approve.
All right. We have a motion,
Second.
the second motion by Councilor Corn, a second by Trustee Johnson-Burek. Mr. Ray.
At this time, I would like to introduce Mr. Dominic Loya.
Good afternoon again, Mr. Chair, members of the board. So we are at the next Transportation Improvement Program set of amendments. I know it seems like we just did this, but we're back again. So we do have a few amendments this time. We have LC 00380. This is for Fed fiscal year 2026. This is from NMDOT. It's for the I-25 capacity study. It's adding additional preliminary engineering funds. That'll be from STIP Flex for $299,040. And then from the road funds will be $50,960. The new total for the project will be $7,217,188. And this project will have an effect on performance measure 1 safety targets. We have next LC 00382. This is for federal fiscal years 2027 and 2028. Again, an NMDOT-led project. This is for the I-25 Engler interchange ramp construction. This will include guardrail replacements, drainage improvements, and lighting. This is moving funding from 2028 to 2027. And this will be from NHPP. It'll be $854,400. And then from the road fund will be $145,600. There'll be no change in the total cost. And this project will have an effect on performance measures 1 safety targets. Then we have LC 00530. This is for federal fiscal years 2026 and 2027. This is also NMDOT. This is US 70 median concrete wall barrier and lighting project. This is to make it a planning project, so it will be for preliminary engineering. The funding will be from STIP Flex. It'll be adding $1,281,600. From the road fund, it'll be $218,400 for a total of $1.5 million. It'll be removal of construction funds of $10 million, so the new project total will be $1,500,000. And this project will have an effect on performance measures 1 safety targets. And then lastly, we have TL 00160 for federal fiscal year 2026. This is from South Central Regional Transit District. This is their sub-allocation for operations. So it is adding 5307 funds for operating in the amount of $25,833 with a local match from them of $25,833 for a total of $51,666. And this project will have no effect on current performance measures. BPAC did recommend approval at their last meeting. TAC also recommended approval at their last meeting. MPO staff is requesting that the governing board approve this series of TIP amendments. I will now stand for any comments or questions.
Thank you, Mr. Loya. Are there any questions to the amendments to TIP? All right, I think I did want to say I'm excited to see the Angler at I-25 interchange as being on the plan. And, you know, I think as we start seeing those items in the northern part of the city into the county, then seeing that growth, I'm excited to see that better access to roadways and such. So appreciate that. All right. If there are no comments, I'd like to ask for a roll call, please, on Resolution 25-09.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Trustee Merrick?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson-Barrett?
Yes.
Counselor Corn?
Yes.
Mayor Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Love?
Yes.
Mayor Enriquez?
Yes.
Counselor McClure
And I
has
think-
indicated yes. Mr. Chair,
Yes.
motion passes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Okay, on to 7.4. It's Resolution 25-10, a resolution adopting various City of Las Cruces codes and manuals in order to implement the memorandum of agreement between the City of Las Cruces and the Mesilla Valley MPO. If I can get a motion and a second to approve this resolution.
Move to approve.
All right, I have a motion. I will
Go right ahead.
I'll second the motion. All right, thank you. All right, is this going to be you, Mr. Lawyer, or Mr. Ray?
This will be Mr. Ray, Mr. Chair.
Good afternoon, members of the board. This is Andrew Ray for the record. As the name of the resolution is pretty self-explanatory as to what it is that we're going to try to, what we're asking the board to do here today. But as the board will recall, per the Joint Powers Agreement, it established the City of Las Cruces as the fiscal agent for the Mesilla Valley MPO. The board also passed, and the City Council also passed a memorandum of agreement between the MPO and the City of Las Cruces, which further defined the terms and requirements to establish that fiscal agent relationship. And there are some city codes that the City of Las Cruces requires the MPO to adopt in order to execute the fiscal agent role on our behalf. The first one is the City of Las Cruces Procurement Code. That's also very frequently referred to as the Purchasing Code. So when I inevitably slip up during this presentation and call it the Purchasing Code, it is the same thing. It is part of the City of Las Cruces Municipal Code, and it is the portion that governs the expenditure of public funds for and through, in our case, the City of Las Cruces. This is important because the nature of the fiscal agent relationship is that as the MPO is funded by a reimbursement grant from the federal government, we require an entity to upfront our costs for us on our behalf. So in this case, the City of Las Cruces, hence the fiscal agent role. So our money is not necessarily being expended for the city, but it is being expended through the City of Las Cruces, and the city is going to require that we adopt and follow the City of Las Cruces procurement code in order to enable the city to perform the fiscal agent function. If we do not adopt the city procurement code, the city will not extend its agreement for the fiscal agent role. Secondly, City of Las Cruces would like to see the MPO adopt the City of Las Cruces purchase card manual, also referred to as the P-card manual. This is not a code, but it is a city policy that governs the use of the city credit card. This is not I do want to say this is not an essential component to allow us to have the fiscal agent role per se. However, it is required for MPO staff to be able to participate in the city's P-card program, which I very, very, very intensively beg the board to allow us to do, because for things like travel and things of that nature, it is far, far more convenient and workable for MPO staff to be able to utilize the city's P-card program for us to be able to operate. And then lastly, this one is not a part of the fiscal agent relationship per se, but the MPO attorneys at Kemp Smith have strongly recommended to staff and via me to the board that the board should strongly consider adopting the City of Las Cruces Personnel Manual to have some sort of documentation to hand to govern the MPO's personnel operations and practices. This is done, and I will say with the specific caveat of we being staff and the attorneys, to take a review of the city's personnel manual to make sure all provisions of that manual are applicable to the MPO. I suspect there will be some that probably will not be, and we will, at a future time, we do intend to come back and sort of line item veto some sections out of the city personnel manual that we specifically want to state do not apply to the MPO. But that is going to take some time, and the attorneys feel that it is very important that we just go ahead and take this action today to make sure that we are legally covered during this sort of continued period of transition that we are undergoing. Kind of to what I just said, also on a larger sense, because there are some potential conflicts with the procurement code specifically, the language in the resolution does say to the extent that these codes and manuals do not conflict with existing federal and state regulations. This is important for the MPO because ultimately we do have to be responsive and responsible to federal law with regard to MPO operations, and there are some things within the city procurement code where the city is allowed to do things that the MPO is not. So in any instance where there is a conflict between city documentation and the federal regs, we revert to the federal regs, and that's why it's important to have that particular part of the now therefore that. It's the first now therefore that. So believe that is, yep, that concludes my presentation, and I'll stand now for any questions.
Thank you, Andrew. Are there any questions, board? At least on the plan set forth? I think in some discussions we've had is just trying to set at least not reinventing the wheel, and being that these were, with the MPO falling under the City of Las Cruces, it just made a lot of sense to continue on those, many of these policies where we could, and it made sense just so that there's already familiarity in how things go. So I appreciate Andrew for bringing this forward. I know we'll probably have more as we come into the future to adopt as we continue the process of being the standalone entity. But thank you for bringing this forward. All right. Are there any other, I didn't see any comments, questions. So with that, I'll ask for a roll call on resolution 25-10.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Trustee Merrick?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson-Burek?
Yes.
Counselor Corrin?
Yes.
Mayor Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Love?
Yes.
Mayor Enriquez?
Yes.
Counselor Corrin has signified her consent to the resolution. Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, the motion passes.
Thank you. All right, agenda item 7.5. It's resolution 25-11. It's a resolution approving affiliation with the Public Employees Retirement Association and participation in the Municipal General Member Coverage Plan 3 and authorizing pickup of member contributions. If I can get a motion, a second to begin discussion.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second on resolution 25-11.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is Andrew Ray, again, for the record, to give this presentation. As everyone here is probably well aware, PARA is the Public Employees Retirement Association, which is the pension fund for the state, for public employees in the state of New Mexico. I apologize, Mr. Chair, we seem to have had a door that is blown open, scattered some papers across the room. Prior to the MPO transition, MPO staff accessed and participated in PARA via the affiliation that the city of Las Cruces had with PARA. Now that the MPO has separated into an independent organization, we are now no longer able to sort of participate in the city's affiliation with PARA, and we therefore now need to directly affiliate with PARA under our own name in order to continue to provide PARA benefits for MPO staff. In my conversations with the previous chairs, current chair, previous executive committees, the consensus among all of those individuals was that we wanted to maintain the status quo with regard to benefits for MPO staff in as much as is possible. So that is a big part of what it is that we are trying to accomplish here today. I do want to note, though, that per state law, once a jurisdiction affiliates with PARA, that affiliation is irreversible. There is no getting out of it once it has been done. MPO staff did work with PARA and City of Las Cruces staffs to develop the language in the resolution. As I said, per the previous guidance that we received, the intent is to maintain the status quo relative to the contribution levels. I do want to note, and you'll see in the resolution, that the City of Las Cruces is actually about to change their levels of PARA participation starting on July 1st of this year, which is the start of city fiscal 2026. The contribution levels are going to be going up by 0.5%. So per the advice of city staff, their recommendation when I was writing this resolution was to include the current level that we have as of right now, and then also the level that we will be going to with the city, presumably if the board approves this resolution on July the 1st. I am not sure. It has not been clarified to me yet. I'm attempting to get clarification on this point, but we may very well have to do this resolution, at least as far as setting the levels, on a recurring basis as necessary as the City of Las Cruces adjusts theirs. I don't know that. I honestly, personally, I'm hoping that we don't need to do that level of paperwork, but I have not gotten a clear answer yet from either PARA or City of Las Cruces staff about that. So we will just have to cross that bridge when we come to it, depending on what the results are. But I will inform the board as soon as I have an answer, hopefully at next month's meeting. As I said, we did work with PARA and City of Las Cruces staffs. Particularly, it was important for us to make sure that PARA was satisfied with the contents of the text. They signified that they are satisfied with the provisions of the resolution. So we do have it. Oh, I apologize. I did not update that slide correctly. We are proposed to have our affiliation take effect with PARA on June the 1st of this year at the rates listed in the resolution, which I believe, I don't have it written down, but I believe it is moving up to 17-point-something%. But that concludes my presentation, and I will stand now for any questions.
Thank you, Andrew. Are there any questions? Not seeing any, so we'll move on to roll call, please.
Yes, Mr. Chair. This is on the Resolution 25-11, a resolution approving affiliation with PARA for Mesilla Valley MPO. Trustee Merrick?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson-Burek?
Yes.
Counselor Corrin?
Yes.
Mayor Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Love?
Yes.
Mayor Enriquez?
Yes.
Counselor Corrin, or Counselor McClure? She has signified yes in the chat. Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, the motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, agenda item 7.6, resolution 25-12, a resolution authorizing the Mesilla Valley MPO pickup of member contributions for determining tax treatment under the Internal Revenue Code. If I can get a motion in a second.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Counselor Corrin, a second by Trustee Johnson-Burek, and I'll turn it back to you, although I don't know how much more conversation we need on this one, just because I know it's almost like complimentary of the one we just approved.
It is. You're quite right, Mr. Chair. In fact, actually, I only had one slide. Basically put very succinctly, This is a motion requesting the board to grant authorization for the para withholdings to be done pre-assessment of the federal income tax as a benefit to staff. This has been the practice of the city of Las Cruces for ever since, I believe, para came into being in 2007. The city of Las Cruces has always done that. So this is just part of maintaining that same status quo. Para staff, though, recommended that we do this as two separate resolutions. They said that it can often make a difference when it comes to be audit time, that auditors prefer to see this resolution separate. So I said, okay, then. So that's the reason why it's not rolled into one. So we're asking for the board's approval of this resolution in order to authorize the para withholdings be done prior to federal income tax assessment.
Alrighty. Any comments, questions by the board? All right. Then we'll call for a roll call on Resolution 25-12.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Trustee Merrick?
Yes.
Trustee Johnson-Burek?
Yes.
Counselor McClure, or Counselor Corrin? I apologize. I don't know why I'm suddenly getting the two of you confused. Counselor Corrin?
Yes.
Mayor Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Love?
Yes.
Mayor Enriquez?
Yes.
Counselor McClure? Counselor McClure has signified yes. And Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, the motion passes. And I don't know if that was the record for the number of resolutions we have ever done at a single meeting, but it's got to be fairly close.
Well, I'm glad we got through that in an expeditious manner, just because not only was this something that needed to be done, but I think when I saw the agenda, that we knew this was going to be quite a few that we were going to be going through. So thank you for the governing board working through that. All right, we're moving on to discussion items, which is what everybody's here for. Agenda item 8.1, the Metropolitan Transportation Plan 2050 presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this time, I would like to introduce Mr. Loya.
Good afternoon again, Mr. Chair, members of the board. So we are getting ready to wrap up the Metropolitan Transportation Plan 2050. So today actually is the last day for public comment on it. And this is the last meeting that public comment will be accepted. So as you know, because we've gone over this a few times, the organization serves as a forum for regional transportation planning, decision-making in Central Doña County. It also maintains eligibility for federal transportation funds. And again, as you know, it stretches from Radium Springs, or just slightly north of Radium Springs, to Barreno in the south, and then just west of the Las Cruces International Airport to the San Augustine Pass. And this will serve for the next 25 years, the Metropolitan Transportation Plan. This one actually is an update to Mobility 2045. There's not going to be a lot of significant changes. So we were just calling this plan Metropolitan Transportation Plan 2050. We felt this was a good place to make a break, and then in the next plan, we will rename it and come up with something new for that. Part of this was due to the conditions outside of member jurisdictions' control. Many of the goals and projects that were proposed in Mobility 2045 were not advanced. And then as a result of that, other projects were slowed down that were supposed to be in the pipeline. And then over the last 5 years, we've also had some projects rise to the top where other projects have faded to the back due to the changing conditions. One of the major changes that we are putting in is that the Las Cruces Industrial and Innovation Park had a study done on it, and that a rail line was not feasible to run out to it due to lack of interest from the public side and lack of industry requiring rail. So to support it, which is the only way the public side would support rail out there. The other major change due to rising costs because of inflation and other factors, projection of future costs on maintenance have been reviewed because we don't know what the material cost is going to be or anywhere close to, as we've seen anywhere between 7 and 10% rise in costs over the last few years So there's no way to project that, whereas before it was fairly steady what the rising costs would be. The population projections and vehicle miles traveled have been updated. And as Mr. Ray informed the board last time, Ms. Provingi found the error in that while she was actually working on this. So we have done something that I don't think anybody else has done in a long time. So that was one of the benefits of actually doing this during this time. So the projects within the next 5 years, the amounts are what are currently obligated within the Transportation Improvement Program. Projects further out, basically the amount stayed the same, but that's basically considered a starting point for funding, as I said, because of changing costs. These are just some of the projects that are coming up or currently underway. So the Ingerland Interchange, as we talked about earlier, the University Avenue Multimodal Project is underway finally. Dripping Springs Road was, last time I talked to the county, has been grant funded, and they should be hopefully starting that project within the next year or two. Then there's the US 70 median concrete wall barrier and lighting project, Thorpe Road, bridge replacement over the EBID facility, Arrowhead Interchange, which was state funded for the study, will hopefully also be in this next 5 to 10 years, the US 70 corridor study. And then the big project on the horizon would be the complete rehabilitation of I-10. But that is quite a few years out. So some of the other changes that have been made, the active mobility map has been changed to show what the current conditions are, as well as future plans for infrastructure development. The Future Thoroughfares Plan has been updated with proposed changes to regionally significant connections. The functional classification map has had a few streets basically downgraded, being that they are no longer acting in the capacity that they were at the time they were classified. Most of this is just classifications of lowering it from collector to a local road. This includes, although there was one that was designated minor arterial, which will be now a collector, and that's Griggs Road from Trevice to Walnut. And then from Griggs Road from Walnut to Solano will now be a local roadway. And that's just due to the nature of the roadway has changed over time as the city has expanded further out. It is no longer being used as a main travel area. The Transit System Priorities Plan has been split into 2 maps. One is for Roadrunner Transit, which will be basically within the city of Las Cruces and the town of Mesilla. And the other is a more expanded view for South Central Regional Transit District. And both those reflect current conditions. And then will be updated, so we'll be coming back before the board when the long-range transit plans are done for both of those, so we can update the both of those maps. And then the truck route map has minimal changes. The major change is actually just down the road here on Roadrunner Lane. The county requested that that be removed due to the narrowness of the roadway, and having semis go down it was not conducive to any type of safety. So I will now stand for any comments or questions on the MTP, and we will be bringing it back in June for approval, as it has to be approved before July 1st.
Board members, any questions? And I know that you brought the slides of from the MTP, so if you have a chance maybe on the way out, feel free to stop over and take a look. All right. Thank you, Mr. Loya.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Under section 9.1, which is board updates, are there any Updates from the board?
I,
Go ahead, Counselor. Sorry.
thank you. The public commenters aren't here. Are you? Okay. But I just wanted to make a few quick notes on the project that I don't know anything about, so they're really just comments. But the University Avenue extension is not part of the city, so definitely not in my domain of what I've been paying attention to. But I just really want to extend empathy to what they're some of the things that they're highlighting. I, as I think I've mentioned before here, live right next to Roadrunner Road that didn't exist when I bought my house, north of 70. And so I went through a process like this where something was being built and there were significant differences in the grade and my yard. We fortunately all had a rock wall. We have a uniform rock wall, but I do want to just sort of say to the idea of some limitations. I know that the city is undergoing significant zoning and building reform that allows people to do different things with their lot lines and fences, a kind of a liberalization, I would say, in terms of allowing for more creativity or height, different things on folks' lot lines. And I hope that that can be a consideration for the folks that live along this road, because it would stink that something gets put upon them and then they can't do anything to rectify it because we've created rules, as I experienced. And now I have like a 1 foot high thing that people look over into my yard. Anyway, I just wanted to extend empathy, and that's not one of the city's projects, but I would definitely say there are ways to make it so that they can at least more easily go through the permitting process to change what their boundary, what's along their boundaries are for the folks whose jurisdiction that is within, if that's possible. So I would encourage my colleagues to think about that if you can. So that's all.
Thank you, Councilor Corrin. Mayor Hernandez?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, and Councilor, thank you for those comments. It's great feedback there, and I think it's also great that we have our residents that come out to the meeting as well. I will be honest, I did encourage them to come to just voice more, because we do have our residents that do come to our meetings as well. So it's good to have that, and great to get more input across the board, no pun intended, from everybody. So thank you for that thought, and thank you to the residents that did come out for the public comments as well. I just also want to note that we did have the town had a great coordination meeting with DOT earlier this morning. So thank you to those members for coming out and being there. We had quite a bit of discussion on the university project as it was as well, along those lines. So good things overall and great communication. So encourage all entities that are involved with DOT, which is everybody here, with those coordination meetings. Let's continue having conversations on how we can collaborate together as through the MPO, through mobility, through everything that we do. And I'm looking forward to future partnerships that we have as a community to make our community better and stronger. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Hernandez. Any other comments? Oh, I know you have your chance here in a minute, but I don't know if you wanted to respond or if you just wait till the MDOT updates. But okay.
Just that, yeah. As the mayor said, we had a meeting with them, and those concerns were brought to our attention. So we're looking into them. So.
Great, thank you. And just for a couple of points, and this is just me editorializing a little bit, and I think one of the things that I've seen is as projects happen in your neighborhoods or in our neighborhoods, is that may change the face of them from what we're used to. I know there's generally a lot of fear, a lot of concerns, and I can completely understand and respect the idea of wanting privacy especially in your yard. I mean, I living off of Valley, I think we constantly see the when you drive by, you can see right over into our backyard, which sometimes I'm like, no, we haven't mowed the lawn or done whatever. And so but I understand, and I think as Councilor G said, I think I can empathize with that. But one of the things that I know, as I've heard feedback in with residents in the county, there's a lot of fear of having paths, walking paths, trails, et cetera, and I think how it brings crime. In the time that I've been on the MPO or serving as a county commissioner, we've seen in the city of Las Cruces the paving along the acequias that have come through the city, the town of Mesilla through Calle del Norte, and all the other projects that have happened. And I don't think I've heard of one that has specifically have said, man, that increased crime. And maybe I'm not aware of it, but I know when we're looking at it in the county, it made me look to see what has evidence said about, having these trails. And I think I ended up running into a couple of studies, and one was interesting from the National Association of Realtors that indicated that I'd looked at one that was specific to parks, but this one on trails and greenways, that there was never any correlation across the United States of the construction of a public path or trail for recreation and an increase in crime. And I thought that was interesting because, like I said, I think your brain you can very easily say how, it brings access, so that people are gonna come and perform a crime and then take off. But, it's just interesting when you see that while that is, I think it's a valid concern, or people can go that way, it's the other part of having more people being visible or being active on an area, so people aren't necessarily gonna be committing crimes directly in public like that. And so, but I thought it was interesting because they did have studies where they analyzed this and and looked at this and found that, they didn't see really any measurable increase in crime. In fact, in some places, they actually saw a decrease because of that increase of traffic, pedestrian traffic through. So, I always thought that was interesting, and hopefully I know, I know even in my district, in the county, in the northern part of the county, where we've made some changes, we've heard really negative concerns. They have not come to fruition on some of the things that we've done. So, I'm hoping that as Mayor Hernandez, as you're saying, as you continue to encourage your residents to participate in these open things, you can address, understand what their concerns are, but hopefully as they move through and see, like I said, we've seen throughout the MPO area, there's been an increase in how we've used paths for increased mobility, and I think it's been nothing but to a benefit of our residents. So thank you for entertaining my soapbox there. But okay, on next item, agenda item 9.2, NMDOT updates. Mr. Love.
Harold Love, NMDOT, got a couple of construction project updates. I-10, New Mexico 404, the bridge, there's going to be night work doing bridge preservation at that interchange, and contractor expect to be done with that work by the end of June. The I-10 roadway resurfacing project between Las Cruces and Anthony, I was just talking to our maintenance people today. They got one more lane to do, and then complete the striping, and that project should be completed by the end of June. The I-10 bridge and roadway rehab, that's the I-10 over University interchange. Work continues on that with the bridge rehab project, and they expect that project to be completed by the end of July. See, US 70 roadway rehab, that project is finalizing, and I was talking to the project manager, and they're looking to do punch list items next week, so, and which means that project is real close to being substantially completed. And then the last project is the US 70 project. The contractor just got back to work on that project from Mesa Grande to Oregon, their contractor will be doing nighttime work and weekend work, and this project is expected to be completed by mid-July. And I stand for any questions on any of those projects.
Thank you, Mr. Love. Any questions for an MDOT? All right, not seeing or hearing any. All right, move on to our MPO staff updates.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We basically talked about everything we've been working on for the past month, several months actually, but there is one thing I do want to bring to the attention of the board. We were supposed to discuss evaluation options by the board of the executive director at today's meeting. In view of the heaviness of the agenda, I will admit I decided myself without consulting with the chair, but I decided that we would go ahead and postpone that discussion. My intent is to do it next month, depending on the heaviness of the agenda, but I just wanted to reassure the board I have not forgotten. We are going to get to it. We have some ideas about, basically, we're going to plagiarize El Paso's system again, at least is going to be the suggestion that I make to the board, but I have not forgotten, and we will get to it in due course. But that's the only update that I have for today.
Thank you, Andrew. And I will apologize for, I was like, my schedule's been a little heavy, and I know you've reached out, so my apologies on my availability as well. So, all right. Then we'll move on to our second public comment. I don't know if there are any public comments. All right. And with that, I'll move to the last item, which is adjournment. If I can get a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved?
All right, I'll second the motion. So we'll call this meeting adjourned at 2:10 p.m. Thank you all for joining, and we will see you next month.
Thank
I think that'll be our